What the hell is going on at Hallis Hall? The 2020 season was filled with ups and downs for the Chicago Bears. Their SimBull trading graph looks like a heart rate monitor during a Cody Parkey field goal attempt. I mean, seriously, what is this team? First, let's take a trip back in time to week 1 of 2020. After finishing the 2019 season 8-8, the Bears opened up the 2020 season valued at $17.25. Despite having most of their core pieces still intact, people were still skeptical of this team, mainly because of quarterback Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky is like the Kyrie Irving of the NFL. People really want to love him, but man, is it really hard to sometimes. From all accounts, the guy works hard, is a great guy in the locker room, and is all around just a good person. But his lack of consistency on the field makes it really hard to wrap your arms around him. The Bears opened the season at 3-0 with wins against the Lions, Giants, and Falcons. Yet, despite all of this, nobody really thought that they were that good of a team. Trubisky had a shorter leash than a teething pit bull, and it only took head coach Matt Nagy 2.5 weeks to pull him in favor of quarterback Nick Foles. After leading the Bears to a comeback win against the Atlanta Falcons, Foles was named the starter on September 28th. Immediately after that, the Bears' SimBull price rose up to $21.50. They immediately stumbled out of the gates with a loss to the Colts, but that was not enough to deter Bears buyers, as the price shot up to a season-high $25.65. 10 days after being named the starter, Foles beat Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football, and the Bears' price stayed steady around $24.23. The future was starting to look bright in the Windy City. However, October was a bad month for the Bears. The team got bit by both the injury and the COVID bug, and after getting beaten down by the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football, the Nick Foles formula was starting to wear off. Their price jumped up to $24.50 after a narrow loss to the New Orleans Saints in overtime, but that was the highest that the price would be for the rest of the season. At this point, the Nagy and Foles combination had been more exposed than Jay Cutler on vacation, and the offense looked entirely unwatchable. It felt like the team was running their entire offense based on Ask Madden, and they had a month-long losing streak to show for it. Eventually, Nagy had to show his hand and awkwardly go back to Trubisky as the starter, which actually provided a spark for the offense. He wasn't as dynamic of a passer as Foles, but he had athleticism that could mask up the lack of creativity in offensive play calling. The Bears were able to sneak their way into a wildcard spot, which, when you consider how ugly the second half of the season was, is a pretty big win. The Bears entered their playoff game valued at $19.99, which was the lowest of all the playoff teams. They were beaten easily by the Saints. Their value dropped to $18.90, and they packed their bags and took off for the offseason. The Chicago Bears have to be one of the most frustrating teams in the NFL. They've been to the playoffs in 2 of the last 3 years, yet no one takes them seriously. Why is that? The same reason nobody has taken the Chicago Bears seriously in the past few decades. They still don't have a quarterback. The home of the Super Bowl shuffle has turned into a non-stop quarterback shuffle, and nobody in the greater Chicago area knows when it's going to end. The greatest jolt of hope that the Bears have had in years happened in March, and it had nothing to do with anything the team did. Miles west of the Chi, Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson admitted that he was unhappy with the team, and although he did not specifically ask for a trade, he did say he would accept one as long as it was to these 4 teams, including the Bears. This was the biggest shock to the city since the day Brian Urlacher announced he had a full head of hair. Not only is a game-changing franchise quarterback available to trade, but he wants to go to the Bears. The Bears' price on SimBull instantly shot up to $25, and the Bears made it known to everyone that they were all in on making this trade happen. However, reality is often disappointing. After offering an unprecedented trade haul and the Bears' value shooting up to $28.50, they were not able to make the deal. The team had to settle for signing quarterback Andy Dalton, and their SimBull price dropped down to $26, which is where it's been for the past few weeks. So what now? I mean, the Bears have $16.7 million in cap space, and they made some solid moves during free agency, but at the same time, the aura around the team just feels really sour. How do you make it to the 3rd date with a supermodel and then end up bringing home the girl from Wendy's? The Bears just have this uncanny ability to disappoint their fan base at every turn, and if this tweet means anything, it means they struggle with optics as well. But what if I told you that things may not be as bad as they seem? Teams like the Rams and 49ers have proven that you can make it to a Super Bowl without an elite quarterback, but they've also proven that you can't win one without one. The fact of the matter is that the Bears won't be that team in this league until they can get their guy. When it comes to deciding what to do with your Bears stock, I would say now is the perfect time to hold, because the next few months are going to be very interesting for them. Are they going to trade up in the first round to get a QB who might fall? Russell Wilson might still be available. Are they going to pull off a shocker of a deal? Plus, with the entire NFL entering a quarterback arms race in the past few years, you never know who might be available in the coming months. I see the Bears as a safe investment that has a pretty unlikely but potentially massive upside. They're going to get you a solid 6 to 8 wins per year without a quarterback. And if they can get one, watch out because they could be a big player in the NFC for the next few years. I'm just saying, keep your eyes on Chicago. Maybe not when they're on offense this year because that's going to be tough to watch. But don't sleep on